Welcome to the Badger Politics. My name is Paul Sickle, and I am an impeachment skeptic.
I'm Scott Stearns, and my voice is somewhat compromised this week. I apologize, but I felt so strongly that we needed to get a recording of that. I'm powering through, Paul. I'm doing this for king and country.
That is a beautiful thing. I know all your ears out there are going to bleed much more than normal because you have to listen to more of my voice than Scott's. That's too bad, but at any rate, we have a few things to discuss.
We do
this evening. It is a Tuesday, which is great because it's always a week anniversary of the next election.
Yes.
And it is May 30th, the day after Memorial Day. We've had a few things happen since the last time we talked, one is that we lost yet another special election.
We lost the Montana race, and I think we were talking about it earlier. The thing about that race was that, Donald Trump won the state by 20 points.
Right.
And
we got within 6 points.
Within 6 points. And so I think there's
the Democrat parties, I like to say.
The Democratic candidate did,
right.
I think there's an argument to be made that maybe if they had gotten involved sooner, that maybe the quality of the candidate could have been better.
Could have been better. Yeah, that's true. That's probably true. However, usually special elections, by nature, you kind of get a scramble for a candidate.
This is true. You don't have a lot of lead time going into something like that. But we also voting already started in the race.
For Georgia?
Yeah, in Georgia. So
that's the one we have a shot at.
John Ossoff,
there you go.
Is the latest polling is showing that he's actually kind of surged a little bit. So that's still that may be more of a bellwether.
I hope it's not like the Clinton polling.
Well, that's exactly. Let's hope so. So that's going on. Let's see.
Let's be real, though. The Clinton polling only showed her about 3 or 4 points ahead. Going into Election Day, she won by 2 points and not enough to win the Electoral College. So it's not like it was that far off.
It was a comfort zone.
Right. She wasn't that far ahead. We all kidded ourselves because we couldn't imagine the reality that we experienced.
We couldn't fathom that it would have turned out otherwise.
And few of us, certainly not me, can even fathom the reality we live in today.
Right.
I mean, in real time, we can't fathom it.
Oh, sure. But so that election, I believe, wraps up. What day? It's
June 20th.
Yeah, it's mid-June. So we got a few weeks of early voting, and then obviously the actual election day. So there'll be more to report there in the weeks ahead. But that one looks promising.
So what's with that Thursday election in Montana?
I don't know. They have weird dates for things sometimes for the state elections. But I think it's one of those things that for a special election, I guess you could probably name any day you want because there's no scheduled
Thursday,
election day.
It's such a weird day.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the reasoning was.
Then again, most people voted ahead of election day. Anyway.
Like 2/3. They're an early voting state, so like 2/3 of the people voted.
Most of the West is like that, including California to a large extent.
Yeah,
is like that.
Well, and so that was the other thing is we had 2/3 of the voters go to the polls.
Right.
The pre body slam. So
right. So I thought that was a figure of speech for a second, and then I just recalled. Oh yeah, that happened. Oh right. Yeah, and the body slammer won.
Do you want to
son of a gun?
So for our listeners, as a refresh, do you want to?
Yes, this happened. We're talking about Montana. I think our listeners know it. We have kind of a sophisticated listenership.
But the candidates' names.
By the way, if you're like Crate & Barrel, considering advertising. To or one of those groups that sponsors NPR or something like that, and you're looking for a new place to sponsor, we have a really sophisticated listenership. So
Absolutely.
very, very, very
For
high
sure.
earning.
They can all spell their names, and they can spell the name Wisconsin.
Are you listening, IKEA? We can sell to your kids, your grandchildren, you name it.
Yes.
Okay. So back to what you were saying.
So the Montana race, the election, the names of the candidates were Janfort and
Right. I don't know, the Quist,
Quist.
the country singer.
yeah,
The folk singer.
He was a folk singer. He wore a nice cowboy hat.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it didn't go our way. But I think
We got our ass kicked, actually.
yeah.
We should write a folk song about that.
I mean, I think a lot of people had or wishful thinking that it was going to be a lot closer.
I was one of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be closer.
Oh, I thought we were going to win. I mean, I just, I thought with the body slam.
Yeah, but if they had 100% of the voters showing up on the day of, maybe it would have shown up.
Right.
Apparently,
It
the
would've.
Secretary of State's office in Montana had a lot of calls from people wondering if they could change their vote, and obviously the answer is no. Once you
but
submit
even
your-
had they had all those people change those, that wouldn't have been enough. 6 points.
I think if anything, it probably for some of the the media haters, / Trump voters, it may have actually driven some people to the polls who are like, yeah, that's awesome.
Right.
They took down a reporter.
Well,
that's
the
the kind of strength and resolve that we want.
the exit polling that I saw, and take it for what it's worth, was that 93% of the voters voting election day had heard about
93%?
the body slam.
Well, it was a national story.
9% of those people used it as a reason to vote against Gianfort. They would have voted for him.
Okay.
Or they would not have shown up. So it basically swung, 10% of the voting day electorate. However, the voting day electorate was only about 30% of the electorate, so it swung about 3%. So, or brought out 3%, maybe. I mean, swung might be too strong of a term.
Right.
So basically, Gianfort would have won by close to 10 points, at least. Somewhere 9, 10, whatever. However you look at that 3%, whether it's swing or whether it's boosted turnout. So if it's boosted turnout, he would have won by 9 points. If it was the actual swing, Gianfort would have won by 12 points.
So the reporter that was body slammed was Ben Jacobs, who was a Guardian.
The Guardian. Wow.
Guardian
Talk about
reporter.
the snowflake country, Britain. What did they do? Brexit? What do they do? Would inspire the entire Trump revolution, all the white nationalism, the disgusting parts of Western society that we are forced to live in.
Interestingly enough, I mean, the election in the UK that's coming up is not shaping up how I think Theresa May wanted it to. The latest polling, I think, shows that Labour is closing.
I would. Well,
closing
first
the
of
gap.
all, don't ever keep your hopes up on polling in Britain. This goes back to when I was in high school. I remember Labour would poll well when they were running against John Major. And I mean, they always underperform.
Yeah.
The only time they performed near expectation was, expectations when Tony Blair was running, and there it was like with a lower turnout.
Sure.
Whatever, business didn't oppose Blair. Anyway, I'm
That's
not gonna hang my hat on Labor's potential support.
Fair enough.
Performance. I mean, it would feel really good if they won some surprise victories.
Yeah. Well, we shall see.
Yeah. I mean, what does feel extremely good is the French election results.
Absolutely. Macron, Le Pen.
Right.
It was and then
Turning back the tide of nationalism
Yes.
convincingly.
I mean, she got twice the vote that her dad did, a decade or so earlier. But still a troubling prospect that somebody like that gets that level of support. It's
She's not the head of state.
no,
So that's what's most
obviously
important.
that's the battle. But the focus,
like Trump is.
Sure, but the focus needs to be on the war, right? Because we need to make sure that these things don't gain steam.
Right. But here's the deal. Le Pen was forecasted to get a lot closer.
This is true.
And it broke the other way. Yeah, very convincingly for Macron.
Yes, it did.
And that had to feel good.
And he's come out kind of guns blazing a little bit. You know, he was at the G7, and you know, he was standing up to Putin and had some things to say about RT and about the relationship with the United States. So other than that, other things since the last show. David Clark still doesn't have a job.
Still doesn't have a job, so he might still remain with us.
We'll see. I mean, interestingly, like he put out this announcement that he was going to get this gig,
right?
And Homeland Security had no comment on it whatsoever. They said they had nothing to announce, and then he gets this plagiarism charge leveled against him.
Yeah,
when he was going for his degree, and I mean, nobody knows where anything lies right now. Like there's
a good chance the whole thing's not happening.
It sounds like he jumped the gun even before the reports came out about the plagiarism thing,
right?
Because the department had nothing to announce on him. So I think he had some like kind of like maybe wink wink handshake assurances, and nothing was formally put in place, and then he just couldn't contain himself. He was probably so excited.
If you were him, would you not do the same thing?
No, I think I would probably wait until there was like something actually formalized.
I'm pretty sure he decided that his best chance of getting that job was announcing that he had it.
So that they had to say yes. Yeah, we'll see what happens with that. Maybe there'll be some news in the week next week or so.
So in our closing minutes, and we only have a few minutes because we've got weak voices tonight.
Yeah, my voice is probably going to expire. So
I feel like my voice isn't much better.
So we wanted to make sure we got something in, and the Wisconsin State Democratic Convention is this coming weekend.
The Democrat Party is convening
Friday and Saturday in Middleton, Wisconsin.
I'm a delegate. Are you?
I am not a delegate, but I will be in attendance.
Who should I vote for?
I will leave that up to you. And you can tell our listeners if you would.
Full disclosure, I got some heat on it today. Yeah, not from anybody I work for, but a friend. You know, I value their opinion. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to vote for Brian Kennedy and Mandela Barnes and Amanda Stuck. The BAM campaign, and I think I said it in reverse order. It's Brian, Amanda, Mandela. Mandela asked for my vote.
Okay.
And I respect him and know him well. And
State Party chair is the chair is Kennedy is running for the chair.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
vice chair is
Amanda Stuck.
Okay.
And second vice chair is Mandela Barnes.
Okay.
But I'm really voting for Mandela Barnes above all else. Although I like Brian. I also like Martha Lenning, frankly.
Sure.
What I don't like is performance. And frankly, to be completely honest, I'm not thrilled with the fact that we didn't have a Supreme Court candidate. And I think it's time for a change.
That's a definite oversight.
Yeah, I'm not sure though. I mean, I worked with Brian. During the.
He's currently the mayor of Glendale.
Right, yes. And I think he's doing an excellent job from what I've heard.
Yeah.
Not as good as Frederick Douglass is doing for Donald Trump, but an excellent job nonetheless.
Sure.
If you didn't catch that reference, well, go back and read some tweets a few months ago.
Yeah, there's some clip notes.
Right. But anyway, I wasn't always thrilled with everything he did as the president of AFT Wisconsin, honestly. That said, I think his heart was in the right place. And he may have made some tactical moves I wouldn't have made.
Yeah.
And he would have done better to follow my advice. That said, he didn't. I hope we can do better than what we've had. And my hope is that he also made some other tactical decisions, which I did agree with. And I don't think you can do worse than not having a Supreme Court candidate.
Well, I mean, obviously there's a lot of.
I realize it's not a partisan position, but
it's important, leading into 2018.
But to be honest,
there's a lot riding on this because we've got the Walker re-election, we've got the Tammy Baldwin re-election. So the 2018 elections, it's obviously going to be a big deal nationally. But in terms of Wisconsin, we've got two very high-profile races happening,
right?
And we need to make sure that we're doing everything we can.
We really need to win them both. I
Yes.
mean, but if we can't, we gotta.
We have
do
to
some
at least-
damage.
we
We
have
got to
to-
win one,
Yeah.
and we got to do some damage in the other.
We got to at least keep Tammy,
Right.
and then
And we got to get rid of Walker. I mean,
Yeah.
we have to. And if whatever, I think there's a chance that one could win, the other could lose. I think there's literally a chance that we could beat Walker and Tammy would lose, and I think there's also a chance that we could keep better chance that we'll keep Tammy and lose to Walker. But
yes, that's probably the most likely.
You've got to get a split. And you've got to make huge inroads. Let's assume Tammy wins. You've got to make major inroads on Walker, including costing legislative seats and getting him right to the edge.
Yeah.
You've got to do that.
Yep.
Frankly, you really got to win it all. One thing that I think that Brian Kennedy ought to do, that's what I was going to say.
Okay.
Or Martha Lanning, but...
who's ever leading the party.
Right. Whoever wants to get my vote really ought to get up on the stage on Saturday morning at the Democratic Convention and say, you know what? I guarantee you that we will have a 5% higher Democratic turnout in the governor's race in 2018 than we did in 2014. At least a minimum. 5% higher. Now, there were 1,121,000 votes for the Democratic ticket. 2014, so 5% of that would be about 56,000 more.
Yeah.
And you got it, I think a little more, 57,000 more.
Well,
you got to say, I will do that. And if I don't do that, I won't run for a second term. And I want to see the first candidate that says that to me really wins my support.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it might take a 10% to win the governorship. But 5% would get you in the game.
Yep. Yeah, it would.
So, give me 5%. I'd say, if I was Brian Kennedy, I'd say 5%. I'd say, in my home county, Milwaukee County, I'll get you a 10%. Which means it'd be prevalent with Democrat.
It's a lot to ask, though. Maybe going a little bit too far.
No.
Dare to dream. I mean, I love the optimism.
You want to run to take back power. That's the reason the whole reason I want to vote for Brian Kennedy. I mean, I'm not even 100% decided. The whole reason I would, though, probably will, is because I hope he'll focus on results.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I was hoping Martha Lanning would do it last time, too, but the results were less than stellar. And then we didn't have a Supreme Court candidate. Yeah, that's enough for me.
That's a big missed opportunity.
Right, but we've got to see whoever the chair is, whether it's Martha or Brian or whoever else. It's got to be some measurable results.
Yes.
Give me 5% more Democratic voters for governor.
You got to produce it.
56,000. I want 56,000 more Democratic. If that's not enough to beat Walker, so be it.
Okay.
But give me 56,000 more Democratic votes for governor.
Fair enough.
Next year, that is.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. We're signing off, but we will be at the
that will help
Convention.
us down ticket, by the way.
Well, of course. Of course. There'll be more stuff going on.
Right.
So.
Right.
We'll talk about all those things. But
no, at 56,000, we got that.
Yes.
Would help us across the board.
For sure. So we'll be at the Democratic Convention this weekend. So we hope to talk to some folks, and we'll do a recording and give some feedback and what on the goings on.
All right.
All right.
Forward.
All right. Forward, everybody.